Hello, welcome to the Snap UK, a
slimline version.
A slimline version, yes, in a way. So
I'm going to take that.
A very ironic way.
Yeah, very yeah. So we are here at Chateau Inches. We are here with a slim down squad. We've made our pre-season cuts. And
Griff and Jim did not make it.
Yeah, we've traded Griff to around the NFL for...
Because they're missing a short presenter.
We traded him for a bag of Revels. Jim...
Still recovering from his hangover,
yeah. He's just on he's probably on like a methadone fix
I think he
to
just
get off
forgot that he's, fully into middle age now. So, when you're over 40, a hangover lasts a week apparently.
He's taking reps on the practice squad, isn't he?
Yeah. There you go. He's on the practice squad. But yeah, so with myself,
only got 3 O-linemen now. That's the problem.
So with me tonight, we've got 4th Inches and Gilo, which is lucky because it's generally this time of the year where there is no news, and we're going to struggle to fill our usual length. So,
John always
struggles. So says you.
John struggles to fill anything with his usual length. That is the problem.
Yeah, given the chance to fill anyway. So
self-burn.
Yeah, sad. So we're going to start with some news that's happened. So Terry McLaurin, the Commanders...
Still feels weird calling him that.
The Washington wide receiver is getting paid.
And you know what? Fully deserved that he is.
$70 million 3-year extension, so he's in Washington for another 4 years. Poor bloke. But for that, he's going to get $53 million guaranteed. It's the going on last year. It's the Commanders' 1 star player, and they've managed to keep hold of him. I mean, in some ways, I feel bad for him that he's going to have to. He's got the next 4 years in Washington, but of course, now that he's signed the extension, of course, it also does mean that he could be traded.
I think this is very smart for Washington. So this is he's got as good as 3,000-yard seasons in 3 years in the NFL, which is exactly what you want. I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done in what hasn't been a very good team.
Oh, it's an awful team.
I think it depends on which route they end up going. I suppose whether they end up in full rebuild mode if this Wentz project doesn't work out, then there's capital there now, isn't there, with McLaurin next season? Or I think this year they'll just want to put a key piece with Wentz. I don't think he goes this summer.
Oh God, no. I'm with you there.
But next year, if it hasn't worked out, they need a quarterback. They need to move up in the draft, etc., etc. Next year's quarterback class is due to be better. We were due to discuss the upcoming draft for next year, the rookie draft, but Jim decided not to turn up. So, so Jim would know more about that than I do.
Yeah, we'll hold that back a bit later. But he's just set to enter his 4th and final year of his rookie deal. He's going to earn $2.8 million this year, and then from then, the big bucks come. This is basically he's now in line with the top receivers, like in the NFL. So he's like
AJ
Browns. He's just below the DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill sort of money, which is good for him because he is. I think we sort of mentioned it the other week, and I think we had a discussion where
Brown was better.
Someone said he was better than AJ Brown. You said AJ Brown was better. I think they're very much of a muchness, which is Not a slight against either of them. I think they're both brilliant players.
I think one of the things that makes him stand out is the Washington team is been inconsistent at quarterback, and he's kind of shown himself to be quarterback proof.
Yeah, I mean, he's played with some absolute dross like Heineke. I'm trying to think.
Brandon Allen, Kyle Allen.
Kyle Allen went from the Panthers last year, didn't he? With Riverboat Ron.
Yeah. He had half a game with Fitzmagic, sadly.
Yeah, we were expecting something to happen. So
yeah, of course, Debo still hasn't signed, but we're still early. It's still
sign. It's not even news.
It's not July yet.
I think this is a remarkably smart thing by Washington, which is news because when's the last thing Washington done that's smart?
Well, John last week tried to tell me that Washington were okay and their defence is okay, which it was 2 years ago, and I think they've gone backwards.
Name 3 defensive players for the Commanders.
Chase Young.
1.
Daron Payne.
2.
Solomon Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Reuben
Foster. They took all of our dodgy first-round picks that didn't work out, didn't they?
Yeah, they took one of our first-round picks that didn't work out. The cornerback safety, Landon
Collins doesn't play for him anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I'll say, I agree with you. Their defence is okay, but the entire Washington team is unremarkable.
Well, their offense should be okay, really, because Antonio Gibson's a good running back. And then, obviously, if they could keep a tight end fit, they'd be okay. But
they had Logan Thomas, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talented, but never fit.
Yeah.
And they had Reed before that as well, didn't they? Who was never fit.
Never fit. Yeah, they've got, with Terry, Curtis Samuel, who
is a decent option.
He's decent, but he's flat. He's one of those ones that, like, if you compare it to fantasy, he's one of those ones that are always available on a Thursday if you're really desperate.
He'll get a 100-yard game. You'll buy him, then he'll get 12.
But yeah, they have lost Brandon Scherf from the O-line, which is a massive loss. But yeah, hopefully Antonio Gibson can get the ball moving, and J.D. McKissick actually puts up some decent numbers. So I'm not saying they're a good team. I'm just saying they're not. I mean, they're not the worst team in their division. And
aren't they?
Well,
are you saying the Eagles are a worse team?
No,
the Giants.
Yeah,
the Giants are a better team than the Commanders.
I don't think they are. I mean,
I don't know. We'll see, wouldn't we, this year? See if Daniel Jones can his contract year. See if he goes full Adebayor.
He can't celebrate in front of another team, can he?
Well,
there's no fans to rip off. Apart from the Giants for the last 4 years.
Go back to the Giants fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, Montez Sweat, another defender. There you go. We've named fucking thousands of them now.
It's great when you Google them.
No, I'm not. I've just remembered.
Next subject.
I do have a thing. What's next for the Commanders?
Okay.
So it's the thing that keeps coming back. So Deshaun Watson.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Do I have to talk about this?
Well, we don't. Well, let's start.
Man faces consequence of his own actions. Next story.
NFL makes the disciplinary judge a woman, which was my favourite thing about this.
Yeah. So the investigation started yesterday. It's already leaked that they're looking for a minimum of a year's suspension, which is sort of what was expected.
It's almost like they built that into his contract, expecting that.
Exactly. Of course,
you could have just had a bet on a game and got banned for a year as well.
Exactly. Yeah. What, of course, isn't if there's various ways that this could be appealed, and if let's say an investigation does ban him for a year, you only have to go back to Tom Brady, and his suspension, which you look at Zeke and his suspension. The if the NFLPA get involved,
They are involved. Yeah, they've said
And-
if it's an excessive
yep,
ban, that they're going to defend him, aren't they?
yeah, and that's it. If they can go as far as suing the NFL if they see it as excessive. So, for anyone who's like got him stored him in a keepers league or dynasty style league, you may be able to use him. I'm looking at Gilo over there, because I imagine as well any sort of punishment for Deshaun Watson is going to be also metered about what's going on at the Commanders, because they're also facing sexual assault allegations. And I guess if you compare it to previous examples, Ben, he had a 2010 suspension. It was originally 6 games, that was brought down to 4, but that was for allegations against 2 women, whereas Deshaun Watson has 24 cases against him.
26, isn't it?
Is it 26? Oh, God.
It's 26. Maybe I'm wrong.
But yeah.
I think the difficulty is, it's always very difficult, isn't it, when somebody hasn't been, legally.
There's no criminal
there's no criminal case.
Yeah.
And it's been in front of a grand jury, and it's still no criminal case. So, civil litigation is a different thing, isn't it? I think, what did Adrian Peterson get for his issues with his child and a stick?
Yes. I think that was
that a year?
That was a year.
Yeah.
But that was an actual crime, So, I'm not saying what Deshaun Watson did isn't a crime in inverted commas that nobody can see that I just did.
I felt them.
But yeah, it's an interesting one legally where the league sits, and it will be interesting. And the Browns, I think for me the bigger thing that's come out is that the Browns, obviously, when they signed him, came out and said that they did all their due diligence.
Yeah.
And if I'm not wrong in saying, John, turns out the Browns just spoke to Deshaun Watson.
Well, they didn't even speak to Deshaun Watson. They spoke to Deshaun Watson lawyer.
That is the best slip of a tongue.
Apologies.
Apologies.
But
Fuck that.
No, I'm not apologizing actually. But yeah.
Deshaun Watson, liar.
Well, this is bringing up
I
the
hope
next.
That's the name of the podcast.
This is the next part of the Deshaun Watson story. Is that now the Texans are getting sued?
Yeah,
as an enabler of his behaviour, because effectively, like, they've been involved in getting people to sign NDAs and stuff like that. So yeah, this has been bought by. I'll bring it up here. Tony Busby, the attorney who represents all 24 women.
Can't pronounce anything legally, can he?
So they're going to be the Houston Jelaine Maxwell Texans. Is that what we're going with?
That is basically, yeah. I mean, it's basically the allegations is they knew or should have known of Watson's conduct.
Should have known.
That is the thing, and have enabled it. And I think as well, but yeah, there have been allegations that they made asked several therapists to sign non-disclosure agreements.
I'm sorry, I refuse to believe the Houston Texans are poorly managed.
Yeah, and as well, some Texan staff members arranged for some of the meetings. So it's I guess it's whether the proof that they can say that they knew what was going on. But yeah,
how does this play for the Browns? Because like last week we said, like, what are the fans going to think? And I think we all agreed that once he gets on the field and delivers, great. But we've talked a lot in the past about a certain very talented quarterback that never made it back into the league, which I'm not allowed to talk about. Kaepernick.
You can mention him because he's not here. Because
we always say Kaepernick can't come back because he hasn't thrown a ball in anger in however many years. Deshaun Watson potentially won't have thrown a ball in anger in like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And is the highest paid player in the world. Like that's literally mental. And not only that, so like not only have they got rid of Baker, and you can go, right, well, Baker's not this or Baker's not that. Fair enough. You either like Baker, don't like Baker, don't think he's good enough, is good enough. But what about Myles Garrett? Like, if I was Myles Garrett, who's got a superb moustache, by the way, I would just be fucking pissed. So I'm in the prime of my career. The roster is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Steelers are not good. And I don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
So there's a chance in a very competitive AFC, the best years of my career are being ruined by this.
They've lost a year by refusing to not, basically rest Baker whilst he was injured and fucking up their chances of making the playoffs. This year, with Watson, you would imagine they're probably the best team in the division. Without him, they're the worst. It's you are right. There's a lot of. It's not just Garrett is the standout, but Denzel Ward is a fantastic player. He's also signed a new deal this year, I think, and they're wasting the prime of their career because of this absolutely. I mean, sign the player because he's better than Baker. Fine. It's the 70 million pay rise is egregious.
Jacoby Brissett is going to be the starting quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah.
Or Jimmy Garoppolo, one of the two. But then Jimmy Garoppolo's like Baker.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo is like Baker.
Because
Jimmy
Garoppolo back from surgery, shoulder surgery. He's expected to start throwing in a couple of weeks.
Okay, because that's possibly the only thing that's going to save Jimmy is
a club that's got nobody.
They need something like that year when the Teddy went down injured like a couple of weeks before the start of the season. That's how you might get the 49ers might get some value for Jimmy. Otherwise, I guess it's going to be a distraction for the 49ers of who's going to start. Is it Jimmy or Trey Lance?
Well, Trey Lance, because he's been playing with the team and Jimmy's been getting his shoulder fixed.
You've got to assume so, but
I am assuming so. You've got to try him at some point. Otherwise, what a waste of time.
You do, but I mean,
I'm told. I'm hearing because I'm not told because I don't know anybody. But I'm definitely hearing it's Trey Lance now. All of the 49ers stuff I read is it's all Trey Lance, OTAs, etc., etc. It's going to be Trey Lance.
I mean,
Jim told me as well.
Well, there you go.
If Jim told you, I believe you.
Some bloke in Cannes on a yacht told him, and then he told me.
Fair enough.
So I'm quoting Jim.
Because, I mean, so far, I know he's only a year in, but it's a strange situation at the 49ers where you don't feel Jimmy has the backing of Shanahan, but neither does Trey Lance. So, you do need Trey Lance needs to come in and start, I guess, really now, because otherwise,
if you don't give him a year this year, then you're just wasting the best years of Kittle and stuff, aren't you? Because it takes Trey Lance another year to get up to speed.
Exactly.
Bite the bullet.
Well, moving back slightly. So, as I say, it looks like Deshaun Watson is going to miss a year, at least. But Baker has come out this week and said it's a mutual decision for him to move on, which is like, my mutual decision not to have a relationship with Scarlett Johansson. We both agreed that it's not going to happen, but one of us was more involved in that decision than the other. No, it's so
that's probably the nicest things anyone said about the Browns for a long time, comparing them to Scarlett Johansson.
Okay, yeah,
they take that.
Yeah, and that's that. Yeah, It's like my decision not to have a relationship with. Yeah.
I think John needs to go for a beer.
I do.
I'm a bit worried about him.
But so Baker is going to move on.
There's just this underlying current through this podcast of John mentioning how slow his love life is at the moment. Do you think we need to do a different snappy snaps? My name's John.
No. God, no. I doubt anyone who listens to this is going to be. I'll go out of him. The NFL podcast community, I'm sure, absolutely full of eligible ladies. So Baker, surely the only places for Baker are Seattle and the Panthers.
Seattle don't want him.
Seattle don't want him.
The Panthers don't want him, apparently.
Well, he's going to be sitting until there's an injury.
Yeah,
they'll cut him.
Oh,
everyone's waiting until he gets cut.
He's waiting until he gets cut.
Then someone will take a flyer.
Yeah, but I am hoping they end up at the Panthers.
There is one other place he could end up.
Where's that?
Where would you really like to see him?
Cleveland.
He could end up at the Giants.
We've got Tyrod. I mean, you know,
What, you think Baker's a better player than Tyrod?
Baker's better than Tyrod. He's probably
if
better
the
than.
Giants could get Baker on the cheap, and Daniel Jones is all over the place after 4 games. That's not a terrible move.
Oh, it's not a terrible move for us. I mean, you know,
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
this is Daniel Jones's make or break season, and if he's
Unlike the last 3, which were make or break season.
no, but like really,
If you're a general manager, new general manager, Daniel Jones, you give him a shot. 4 or 5 games, he's thrown God knows how many interceptions, fumbles, whatever else he normally gets up to, and Baker's just there without costing you anything. Are you telling me you don't just plug him in?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I'm just.
Well, I'm saying this is Jones's 4th season, and he's been injured in each one as well. If he's not available, because chances are he is going to get injured, why not take a flyer on someone like a? But that's speculation. Let's see what happens. But yeah, he's going to be available. Sticking on suspension news. Alvin Kamara.
This one's been really quiet, and then all of a sudden it's just started bubbling back to the surface.
Yeah, it was. During the Pro Bowl weekend, he was in Vegas. He had a fight.
Which is why nobody should go to the Raiders, because it's chaos in Las
Vegas.
There's been no proof of that with their roster so far. Oh, no, sorry, I take that back.
So he's facing at least a 6-game suspension. And also, it could be on the end of a civil lawsuit against the person who got beat, basically, who Kamara beat up. I mean, unless Kamara was doing something really horrible, like, just don't fight professional athletes.
Didn't Aaron Donald spank someone in a club last year? Nothing ever came of that.
Nothing ever came of it, yeah.
Would you tell him?
Oh, it was in the news, wasn't it? And then it just disappeared. But
yeah.
This Kamara one, they're saying it may well be a 6-game.
Well, there's a league statute for if you're charged with felony battery, it's a 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
Do that. So.
But that's a nightmare for fantasy owners.
Oh yeah,
absolute nightmare.
Well, not even fantasy owners. I mean, for the Saints, they've gone from like seemingly cap hell to actually having a decent team, and now they're effectively their best player. Let's not kid; he's their best player. They're going to be missing for half the season because it is at least 6 games. The Donald Barr fight ended with a video that basically proved I don't think he was the instigator, so
self-defense.
No charges were sought, no cases, so that's why he just disappeared. Kamara though beat someone up, it seems, and possibly we didn't know much about it because everyone's been concentrating on it's off season, and everyone's most people talking about Watson and his litany of crimes.
There's been a fair amount of roster moves that have been completely unexpected out of nowhere, which have pretty much blown up the news sites as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you think Amari Cooper going to the Browns any other season would be huge news, and that's paled into insignificance.
There you go. Yeah, because the crime against him is a felony, so he could also face a criminal charge. So it's not good news for Alvin Kamara.
Surely these players earn enough money to get a private booth.
Yeah.
Like, with a security guard that doesn't let people in. Just sit there drinking champagne. Like,
my friend...
Is that not how it works anymore? That's how it used to work when I went clubbing.
I mean, as well, my friend worked in the MGM Grand, and they have a special place for celebrities. Like, if you want to go out and party, they bus you in, they bus you out. Like, you don't see the hoi polloi and the riffraff. You just go in, you have your own entourage. You go in, you do... And literally, like, from the sound of it, you could do whatever the fuck you want. They just turn an eye to it. Blind eye. And, so, yeah, is he guilty of just being cheap as well? Because, it's...
I don't know. They just seem to ask for trouble. But it's a real shame. New head coach who, has already got a very tough, inherited a very tough situation. And then through no fault of his own to lose Alvin Kamara as well. You feel sorry, don't you? Because if he has a bad start to the season, if he ends up going, 1-5, then that's harsh.
It's hard. It is harsh as well because he's got that
You'd be pissed,
stigma on him as well, wasn't Dennis Ham? Because he was head coach before and he had a really bad time.
Yeah.
So I think some people
imagine getting that phone call. Just took the job. 4 weeks later, Alvin Kamara's been arrested for having a fight.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell.
Shoot me now.
Yeah. Because the Saints team is decent. They've managed to. I don't know if basically they've just batted the cap situation down the hole somewhere, and it's going to bite them in 1 or 2 years' time. But they've still got a decent team. Their playmaker effectively is looking like. It's going to be probably 6 to 8 games for this. Anyway, carrying on more on the tale of bastards. Dan Snyder is ignoring the subpoena attempts from the Oversight Committee. So he's claiming that he's been offered one date, which was June the 30th, and his attorney was on holiday and unavailable.
An attorney?
Is that his mixture of a lawyer and an owl that he keeps in a cage? His attorney owl.
You are very welcome to present.
Be careful, John will call his liar.
And then he'll bring his attorney.
He'll sue you for slander.
But yeah, Goodell gave evidence over a video in this hearing about the Commanders' workplace culture. Of course, the Commanders are claiming that the decision's already been made, and this is just a show trial, effectively. But we will wait and see how this scumbag gets out of any future appearances in front of the committee. Okay. So Thursday Night Football. So we've got Richard Sherman and Fitzmagic already on the thing. Aqib Talib has now joined. He's so.
Is this on Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime.
We'll fucking keep it. Honestly, they put. They tried a couple of seasons ago to put some better games on Thursday nights, but over here in the UK, most of those games are going to be on at midnight.
Oh yeah,
I'm not staying up till midnight to listen to Richard Sherman. Griff might, whilst he's making
will
teeth,
be,
but I'm not doing it.
I will, but yeah,
I'm not.
No,
it's fair.
I'm not doing it. Just because you're a player doesn't mean you're going to be a great commentator or look
at Drew Brees. Look at
I get they're just chucking money at it, aren't they? They're just chucking money at it, Amazon, and hoping something sticks. Yeah. It's a big market, worldwide.
What they want is eyes on the product, and hoping that Sherman and Fitzmagic and Aqib Talib will do that. I quite like Aqib Talib as a commentator.
He sat there with a massive chain on.
Yeah, topless. Yeah. Hairy chest out, screaming. Okay.
I didn't need that vision.
No, go on, get a good mental picture of it. Bask in it. Some slight news. Devon Allen, who is a first-year wide receiver for the Eagles, he's going to the 2022 World Championships because
he's really fast.
He's really quick. So he finished third in the US trials. This year he has won 3 races and has already run the third fastest 110-meter hurdles in history. So the third fastest man over 110 meters. Basically, he was a college player, but decided to concentrate more on his athletics. Now at 27, he's been signed up by the Eagles, and I mean, that's quite, his pace alone should be quite scary. I mean, of course, what we want to do is get him and DK Metcalf in a race, and
DK Metcalf would lose.
Yeah, probably.
But then, if I was the Eagles, I'd be tempted to use him as a running back as well. Like, if you could get him out to the edge, with that raw speed, it doesn't really matter where he is, does it? As long as he's got the ball in space.
Yeah. Jet sweep style.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
They use him as a Patterson, Debo type.
The US rugby team used to have a winger.
Yes.
Who was, again, he was a previous athlete, and he was ridiculous, especially in like sevens where there was loads of space. The guy was absolutely mental. So if the Eagles can, kind of get him doing anything like that, be amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, may well take coverage away from Smith, obviously, as well for them. So,
and Brown.
Yeah.
Carlin Isles.
Is that
the
who
player.
he was?
He was a sevens player, but it was a sprinter.
He was ridiculous.
Ridiculous to watch. If you can find YouTube clips, basically, I think if you just type in the fastest rugby player ever, you'll just see him making a mockery of the sevens game. Peterson and Le'Veon Bell. So all day, Adrian Peterson and Le'Veon Bell are going to have a fight. July the 30th.
To prove who is the most desperate ex-running back in football.
I mean, this is the sort of thing you probably could expect from Peterson because he broke. But yeah, both these guys are free agents. They're not in the league.
So they need some money.
They were both in the league last year. I think Bell was at
Jets.
The Ravens as well.
Was it the Ravens? Is it the Chiefs? The Jets? Basically, he's been flattering to deceive everywhere since his year out with the Steelers.
I don't think he was that bad when he came to the Jets. The problem was because of the amount he was being paid, he couldn't have ever performed to the level people wanted.
Surely
he finished at the Bucks. He finished at the Bucks last year as well.
Surely he's got enough money, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to go and do this.
If you're being paid $2 million for one night of work, you'd do it, wouldn't you?
Not if I had 40 million and the other guy was going to beat the shit out of me.
I suppose he's got form.
Like Adrian Peterson
is
a much bigger guy than Le'Veon Bell.
Here's the thing. Who do you think is going to take this more seriously? Peterson or Bell? You can imagine Peterson is probably training quite hard for this.
Yeah, Bell's about 10 years younger, but I still think he'll get knocked out.
He's only 30.
Who is?
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
But
Peterson's like 38.
37.
Oh, okay. Sorry, John.
I
do apologise.
But no. I
missed his birthday. I'll have to send him a card.
No, you've not missed his birthday. That's the thing. We've still got time. We can have a whip around.
Yeah,
Paul,
I think
get on Moonpig.
What is it? Winner faces Frank Gore, is it, or something?
Well, no, because Frank Gore's gone pro. So these guys are still amateurs. So it's an exhibition called Social Gloves 2 because it's headlined by a load of social influencers. So Austin McBroom and Enson Gibb. It's literally one word. I don't know who the fuck he is. but we might. If hopefully
that's all we need to say on it. Really,
that's all we need to say. So actual sad news that really. Tony Siragusa has died at 55.
Now, he was a member of one of the meanest defences going, which was the 2000 Ravens team, which I don't think gets anywhere near enough credit for just the lack of points scored against them.
Yeah, former Colt, and was at the Ravens defensive lineman. He was at 7 years with the Colts, 5 with the Ravens, and was part of the Super Bowl winning Ravens team in 2000. That just, stingy is not even the word. Absolute, just a brilliant defense. The Goose, who's called, and Jim Irsay.
Tough week for the Ravens.
Yeah, really is. Ray Lewis said, "I love Goose like a brother. From the first time we met, I knew that life was different. I knew he was someone who would change my life forever." And basically, I think one day we'll have to cover defensive units, because I think there's some that just are that good, and whether it be the Legion of Boom or the 2000s Ravens were one of the best ever, probably one of the best I'll ever see, and he was a key cog in that team. So
also, he was fun outside in terms of his what he did on TV as an analyst, and also he appeared in The Sopranos.
Yeah, yes, he did. He was larger than life, wasn't he? There's gonna be a 30 for 30 about the 2000 Ravens team.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully, I think he's been involved in that. So hopefully we'll see some of these stories as well, because that's really good. But 55, no age. As well, some other losses. Hugh McElhenney died at 93. He was a 49er, Hall of Fame. He was a 49er for 9 years. He was a Pro Bowler for 6 of those years. If you had Madden 08, it included the Hall of Famers. You could get him, and he was fucking incredible. And Marlon Briscoe has died at 76. He was the first black starting quarterback.
That was in the AFL.
Jalen Ferguson.
And Jalen Ferguson.
And hence why I said it was a really bad week for the Ravens.
I was just going to go. So Jalen Ferguson, he died last week, age 26.
There's not much to say.
No,
really,
there's not much.
We don't know. We don't know the cause. He was found unresponsive at home, wasn't he? But again, it's just such a loss of talent. And it's happened so often lately in the NFL. These young players that for different reasons and are not finishing their careers. So definitely something I think the league needs to look at in terms of how they help these young players. And obviously you'll get the odd one, won't you, where they just have a health issue that you don't know about. You see it in all sorts of sports, don't you? Sudden death syndrome, and people having heart attacks or whatever it might be. But I definitely think the league needs to look and think, right, how many players are not finishing their careers or becoming unhealthy or whatever it might be. So too much of it.
There is. We've been doing quite a few stuff like this, announcements like this lately, and it's not something we want to see. Anyway, we'll take a break, and we're going to come back in the second half and talk about running backs. Oh, that was a good break. Welcome back.
That was the most Partridge-like return I've ever seen.
He's had a break. He's had a cheeky finger. Now he's ready to go.
I have
chocolate finger, isn't that?
Well, that noise.
We've all had a good finger this break, and it's been very pleasurable. So the three of us decided this half of the podcast we're going to do a power ranking.
Well, it's going to have a running back theme.
It's going to have a running back theme, yes.
Basically, there's a few questions or a key question on our mind, and before we get into that question, we thought we'd talk about who are the best running backs, because that should set us up for the question we want to ask.
Exactly. So
Is that helpful, John?
that is helpful. So, we are power ranking our running backs. So
Just top tens.
just top 10. Yeah,
So we're talking elite. So the
Exactly.
likes of Aaron Jones.
exactly.
He said it.
For
He said
example.
it. He said it.
For example,
Well, so who wants to go first? Who have they got as number one?
I will go first. Number 1 is Derrick Henry.
that is not my number one. My number one is Jonathan Taylor,
I've gone with Derrick Henry.
because Derrick Henry started to pick up a few injuries last season. So that's the reason why I went with Taylor.
I went with Jonathan Taylor at number 2.
So did I.
I went with Derrick Henry at number 2.
So there's a consensus for who's out in the lead. Who have you got number 3?
I have Joe Mixon.
I have Nick Chubb.
I have Nick Chubb. But then at number 4, I've got Joe Mixon.
I've picked Joe Mixon at number 3 because the Bengals have an O-line now.
I mean, going forward, I think that is. But I guess
And also last season
he was
phenomenal.
brilliant last year.
I had Joe Mixon at number 10.
Well,
Well, I didn't. I had Javonte Williams, but then I just remembered that I don't have Joe Mixon in my top 10. Joe
Yes.
Mixon's just snuck in. But only just.
I think on his day, and we're seeing more and more of his
It
day.
was a really good year last
He
year.
had a really good year. So, who have you got number 4 then, Gary?
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones. Okay. Elite running back, Aaron Jones. So, your number 4 was Nick Chubb.
No.
Oh, who's your number 4?
Najee Harris.
Najee Harris. I mean,
I've gone purely on upside. I thought he had a fantastic rookie season. He did exactly what the Steelers needed him to do, and if you're the Steelers running back, you're carrying the Steelers. They don't do running back by committee. They do running back by one man.
well, Najee Harris had a very good debut season.
He is in my top 10.
He's in my top 10. But
I had him at 8th.
I had him at 9th. So this is where we get the first very controversial pick. Who have you got number 5?
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook,
Christian McCaffrey.
who is not in my top 10.
Could you play the booing sounds to you about yourself?
Possibly.
Or if not, it's going to be some sort of creepy
No,
sound.
it was the drums. I can't remember what the booing sound is.
Just imagine Griff's here.
I know that if you're going on the last 2 years, you know.
That is a long part of an average 4-year career for a running back.
I know, but
That's like half of an expected career for a running back. If you go on his half of his career when he hasn't played, yeah.
When he had working knees, he was fantastic.
this may like literally.
Just
If
the
we
man
do,
who just picked Dalvin Cook. I realised the irony there.
I know, but I still think that there is some tread on the tires for McCaffrey. Like,
Let's wait and see.
let's wait and see. I'm quite
We saw it
prepared.
with Bell, we saw it with
Yeah,
Gurley.
exactly.
Yes.
But you also look at Peterson. Like, he had a bad knee injury and came back, and
Let's save this for the later question.
so
So, number 6,
Kamara.
Aaron Jones,
Austin Eckler.
Ooh.
who I removed out of my top 10
Who
because
should
of...
be in your top 10.
No.
He should be in your top 10. I guess. It depends who else you've got. So, 7.
The mighty fantasy pickup, who is DeAndre Swift.
Alvin
forgot.
Kamara.
Dalvin Cook. I forgot about DeAndre Swift. Yeah.
Superb.
He's a good player.
On a bad team.
On a bad team. Let's see what happens. I think next year, I hopefully I won't forget him. 8. I've got Aaron Jones.
I had Najee Harris.
Ezekiel Elliott.
I took Zeke out my top 10.
He shouldn't be in there.
9. I've got Najee Harris.
So
I have Kamara.
you're going to take out a 1,000-yard rusher.
Yes.
Yes.
Is Pollard in there? Is he in your top
But a
10?
1,000-yard rusher splitting reps.
He did okay. He did okay.
So a man with 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns.
Top 10.
1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, splitting reps is not top 10.
Yeah, but my eyes, that's just stats, yeah? My eyes that watched the games told me something different.
Fair enough. 4.2 yards per carry.
My eyes do matter as well, though.
No, I get it. It's just, I felt you.
Who did you have at number 9, though, Paul?
Nick Chubb.
Chubb. Oh, my God, that's harsh.
That is low.
Wow, you picked the wrong Google site.
But for a man who has 250 yards more than Zeke last year,
But wasn't splitting reps as much.
he does split reps. He
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt.
As much.
Oh, I don't know.
Also, he
Was injured for some of the season, Chubb, last year as well.
He only played
12
14
games or
14
something.
games.
Yeah.
So he missed. And yeah,
Chubb's a beast.
I also think
Chubb.
longevity also plays him.
he gets 30 yards more a game.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
But yes,
And my eyes tell me he's better as well.
at number 10, I've got Austin Eckler.
I had Javonte Williams stroke mix.
Yes.
I changed my mind.
Leonard Fournette.
No.
I think.
So in essence,
I think Eckler's been robbed there from your top 10.
so what I'd say is, in essence, we've picked the same 12 or 13
Yeah.
top running backs. Now, we would say that they are very good running backs who make a big difference to their team when fit. Yeah?
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
So what was the question, John, that we wanted to set
The
scene
question
for?
the question we set ourselves up to answer is, should you pay your running back big money? So basically, once they've done their rookie deal, should you be paying them the big bucks that certain players have got recently? Is there value in it?
I'd like to start by saying absolutely bloody not. And I'd like to.
I would like to start by saying, how much do we mean by big bucks? So I do have the list of the top salaries in front of me.
So should we go by average?
Average per year. So
The biggest is McCaffrey,
McCaffrey on
$16 million.
a year.
On talent, the talent is there. It's the availability, and I mean, as well, the Panthers make some strange decisions. But yeah,
So if we go through the players over 10 million average,
Yeah.
we have McCaffrey, Kamara, Zeke, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, and Joe Mixon. Now, every single one of those players was in one of our
and
lists.
yeah, they made at least one list.
So most of us think that those players add a lot of value to their teams. They deliver 1,000-yard seasons, between probably 6 and 12 touchdowns. They are difference makers to their teams. But Austin Eckler was $6 million.
Yeah,
And Fournette was $7 million. Chase Edmonds was $6 million. It's, James Connors was $7 million. How
Yeah.
far away is James Connors from that?
I did think you do have to mention Connor in your list, and then I didn't. But for the amount of touchdowns he got, he doesn't get the big yards because
That's
of
not
that's
what
what
he's
he
there
did.
to do.
That's what, but what was he? How many touchdowns did he get last year?
What I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a little bit of a counter argument in terms of giving your running back the big contract.
15 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, I know, it was crazy. I had him in
Absolutely.
fantasy.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything like all game. He got like 30 yards a game. But
He gets 50 yards a game.
And 2 touchdowns.
Touchdowns.
But what I'd like to talk to you both about is I'd like you to have a look at the top paid running backs of the 2019 season. That's not that far. That's not
Yep.
that long ago.
Yeah.
So the
Bell.
top 5 paid running backs: Zeke number 1, 15 million. Number 2, Todd Gurley, out the league. Number 3, Le'Veon Bell, out the league. Number 4, David Johnson, out the league. Number 5, Devonta Freeman, out the league.
Yeah.
Those players were given salaries that were
3
expected
years
them to
ago.
be in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is the biggest gamble almost on your roster because it is the easiest one to.
How much of it though is to do with offensive line, play calling, this game situation as well. So are you ahead in games? Are you getting where you start in field position? So much like they're clearly talented players.
Yeah.
But it's the difference. When you see them on their rookie contracts, you go right. Okay, well, Travis Etienne's earning $3 million season average, and then you go to Najee Harris, $3 million. But then if you look at some players that recently have moved and really done well, so Chase Edmonds, for example, good season last season, now $6 million. And then you go to Cordarrelle Patterson, who was amazing last year, $5 million, who added just as much to his teams as any of these running backs in the top 10 last year.
Yeah.
So how much of it is it about paying for the best talent, or how much of it is about scheming, and can you get the same out of a £5 million running back as you can from a 12 million? That 7 million can go somewhere else.
I would like to
injured, you just go and get another one.
I'd like to compare what the 49ers do with a cast of 4 or 5.
Yeah, Mostert, Mitchell.
But this is what I'd like to do. So I looked at the 2019 season just in terms of this longevity piece, and what would you do if somebody went down? So Raheem Mostert was actually where I went to. So in the 2019 season, Raheem Mostert got 10 touchdowns from overall scrimmage, 900 yards from overall scrimmage, or actually just under 1,000. Just under 1,000 yards from scrimmage and 10 touchdowns. And his contract was nowhere near. We're talking like almost league minimum. So with the right scheme, you can pretty much plug in any running back. You look at 2 years ago, Terrell Davis went into the Hall of Fame, undrafted. Philip Lindsay's been on multiple teams and was undrafted, and
James
he's been
Connors.
a 1,000-yard rusher.
He was undrafted, wasn't he? Or 6th round or something?
James Robinson as well.
Yep.
So, and there's an argument that this isn't a position you need to pay unless, I know Zeke isn't much loved by what we said there, but
who would you pay for though? Because there are a couple in
Kamara.
Here. There are a couple in here where you potentially would say they are, they are difference makers. Jonathan Taylor,
Kamara, Chubb, I think.
But Jonathan Taylor's had one good season.
He's only been in the league like 2-3 years, isn't he?
But yeah, I mean, that's
playing with Wentz.
But that's one good season for me, and I think the problem is sometimes with the running back, you get the recency bias.
Yeah, but it wasn't just a good season. It was an out of this world season.
It was potential MVP. I totally understand that, but you need him to be doing that for longer before you pin everything on there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because when they are on and they are delivering, and you've got a run game that works, you know that you can do all sorts, can't you? If you establish a run, play action is then in the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that means defences have to scramble, and it makes the game much easier. So if you've got a Derrick Henry, he doesn't just add what he adds in stats, does he? He adds to your ability as an offensive coach to change the game. And I suppose the question really still comes down to that longevity piece. And are the extensions that are being given, or the guaranteed money that's being given, just too much over too long? Now, that might just be very good work by the agents of these players because they're understanding the value to that team right now. And don't forget, every team is always in win mode now, unless you're the Lions or the Giants or someone else shit. But, but you are, aren't they? Most of these teams, because the coaches are going to lose their jobs if not, are in win now mode. So they're not thinking about 3 years down the line, are they?
No.
Because they might not have a job as a GM or a head coach.
They need to finish this year with a job, and
It's such a fine balance. I can understand why they do pay these players to be the faces of their franchises and to keep them happy and working very hard. But I do think it carries a lot of risk.
This is where you look at in terms of pinning your flag to the mast of a certain player can really fuck you up. Saquon had an amazing rookie season, 2,000 yards from scrimmage, rookie of the year, 31 million guaranteed. Not deserve that. You look at Jonathan Taylor, just had that MVP season. Naheem Hines is earning more than double what he's earning.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't find him on the list. That's how little he does.
But you look at where Jonathan Taylor is in terms of what he's earning. The two players earning more than him above him are Marlon Mack and Deonta Foreman. That's embarrassing.
That's because he's still on his rookie deal. So Jonathan Taylor could easily go to the top of that list next year.
Yeah,
but how many more years after that does he then? Such a difficult one. And again, I think we touched on it briefly last week, when this college stuff really starts to take hold. These running backs, if they can earn more in college, for me, I think it's a bit strange how the NFL do some of their work, and it's like, we make the rookies earn almost nothing. Surely we should just pay the established stars a little bit less and pay the rookies just a bit more. Like it just
the rookies are earning a bit more. You see Breece Hall coming into the Jets. Breece Hall's got nearly $2.5 million guaranteed. That makes him one of the best paid running backs going.
Yeah.
So there are changes.
There are, but it is strange that it's a contract system very much. I mean, to benefit the owners, which is obviously how the whole game is based. But
okay, so we've broken it down. So we've got our top tens, all a little bit different, but pretty much the same. We've gone through the salaries, so we're ranging some really good players earning $3 million up to kind of $15, $12 million averages. You're a GM. You've got Derrick Henry in front of you. Are you going to sign him to a $12 million per year contract or not? That's basically the answer to this question. Yeah. Are you going to do it or not?
Not at 28 years old.
You're no.
Derrick Henry,
28 years old, stellar career.
If I'm the Titans, yes, because my whole team is based
you're
around.
Just a GM. You're building your roster. Do you sign him or not? That's the question.
That is the question, but it ties into everything else you've said.
I'm asking you for an answer.
Well,
yes or no? You do you think you would you? What would you do? Would you invest that money in running back or not?
There are few running backs I would.
I gave you one,
but Derrick Henry is one of them.
So yes.
I think he's an absolute. You could base a whole team around, and the Titans have based an offense around Derrick Henry. The thing is, last year was the first year he's looked vulnerable, and injuries have hit. But I mean,
so to keep this short and snappy, what we're saying is, for those not the top 10, but for the top 3 running backs, we pay.
Yeah.
And for everybody else, you take your $5.5 million, and you count yourself lucky, and you fuck off.
Yeah.
You take the top 4 paid running backs, and none of you would trust Zeke.
The Chris Carson continuum.
Really good point. But Christian McCaffrey, top paid running back.
He's not been worth the contract.
Zeke Elliott, you guys don't think he's been worth the contract? I do personally.
I think
he's been good. He's
still been good. But he also has the best. He has had the best offensive line in the business. Yeah. Let's not kid. He has had the best offensive line in the business, and he's still not. Go on the. We said it before. Go on the eyes. Go on what you see. You don't see Zeke, and you think you don't see the bloke who came in and just obliterated the league. He was brilliant.
Also had the best O-line going at that time.
The best O-line going. But yeah, I do, the whole, I'm glad I'm not a GM because it's very easy to take the piss out of them and say they're all shit. There's like the 3 good ones. The decisions are really hard. Like
I think there's an argument for paying the top 3 or 4 the money.
Yeah.
But then I also think that the difference between Austin Eckler and a Dalvin Cook. Well, Dalvin Cook's paid a lot of money, but an Austin Eckler he's a good example because he's on like just over 6
Josh
million.
Jacobs,
$2.5
million. The difference between him and Austin Eckler is that worth $10 million a year?
Exactly, and I would say no.
I mean, is Dalvin Cook worth double Austin Eckler?
No, that's my point.
Yeah. That's it. So we
think that overall
it's an overvalued position.
Yes,
Really is.
Look at Rashard Penny.
had a good contract year, full Adebayor.
Full Adebayor, yes, the best way. But yeah, so I mean that's as much as we can say. So yeah, we will
because it's bedtime.
It is bedtime.
Pay your wide out.
Pay your wide out. Pay your quarterback.
Pay your O-line.
Pay your O-line. Pay your edge rushers. Because
that's a position.
That's apparently it's yeah. You've got to pay some. So
your right and left defensive end.
Or your whatever your outside linebackers. But yeah, I think it just seems to be as well. We brought this up because this is Saquon's. This was would you have paid I think this was based on Saquon because of course he's coming up. He's a second overall pick. Would you give him the money?
No,
not at all.
No, you can have Eckler money.
You can have Chris Carson money, which is actually a paid cut.
You could have Matt Brader, who'll give you the same results for 1.1 million, and we do.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll leave it there. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. And hopefully some news has happened. Bye.